Sometimes it's hard to face reality. Oh, oh, even though you might get mad at me. Oh, oh, sometimes it's hard to face reality. Don't be afraid. What's going on YouTube? Logan Oren back here. And today I want to talk about a sensitive topic that has been, permeating through the egosphere for the past, I don't know, month or so. And we're talking about the Austin Metcalf and the Carmelo Anthony situation. Now, I have done what I could in order to not really touch on this matter. And I haven't done a video about this, even though it's something that I have a strong feeling about. But the reason why I didn't want to preemptively put any kind of opinion out there is because I wanted to basically not say anything until there was enough information out there. And I feel like what we've gotten is a lot of hearsay and even things that are even worse than hearsay, that they're not even credible. Even the sources are either unidentified or it is just something that just popped up on the internet and people are running with it, even though there's nothing to substantiate the claims of this being evidence. So I've tried to not really jump into it because I don't like that. Like, this is a situation where lives are involved, and because the social, I guess you could say, the social presence in something like this, the social influence has a huge impact on how this thing could play out and how the people who are involved are treated when it comes to something of this magnitude of a situation. So today I wanted to kind of jump in and then talk about why this scenario, why this case matters. And I have, even though I haven't put out any content on it, I have gotten but I also haven't mentioned it on Facebook, or as far as like me making a post on Facebook. I've seen like a couple of posts that people have made on some pages that I follow, and I have responded to those based off of what's actual proof. I've watched videos, and I have gone into the comment sections a couple of times, and I've made comments based off of the things that people have said that have not been substantiated, and so I will then comment based off of that fact. But why is this case important, and why is this not just an issue of someone claiming self-defense, or why can't this be an issue of, hey, black people have been treated this way for generations, and now we're getting our payback, or we're now the tides are turning, and so you've got the shoes on the other foot. Why does this matter? Why is this important for us to get this right? And honestly, why should, unless there is complete evidence to substantiate that he feared for his life and that he acted in true self-defense, why is this important? Now, the reason is right here. This young boy right here, my son. Actually, he's not my son, because I'm not about to put a picture of my children online for, idiots to then do what they do. But he's supposed to represent and symbolize my son. What does this have to do with him? And the reason why is because this is a volatile situation. This is a case that has a lot of implications on, on the world and how the world will respond and react, and how it will present itself after this case is over. Now, if this is a clear-cut case of self-defense, which all of the official information that we have gotten so far does not point to it. We do understand that even though Texas is a stand your ground state, that when it comes to deadly force, there has to be a reasonable expectation of force that was instituted in order for you to be able to respond with deadly force. And based off of what has been said officially through police reports that have been shown, or any kind of credible witnesses that have talked about what happened or what may have happened, there is nothing that shows that Carmelo Anthony was in the right, and that he was in a situation where he should have feared for his life. Um, I just don't see where a legitimate case or claim for self defense could be had with this particular case in this young man's instance. So why is this important to get it right? Of course, there's people's lives that are in jeopardy, but why does this, I guess, pertain to my son, or my daughter, or your brother, or your sister, your father, your mother, your grandfather? Why is this important to them? And it's important because of case law. And if you don't understand what case law is, it's, in a nutshell, basically, it is when law is created due to the outcome of a case that's made by a judge or, jury, whoever. It's a law that's created because of the outcome of a case. And here we're looking at a situation that we can't afford to allow this to be decided by emotion and by social pressure, because or racial pressure. Regardless, we can't allow this to be swayed by that. We have to allow it to be swayed by the law and the facts. Because the last thing that I want to happen is, imagine, whether you're black, you're white, Spanish, Asian, whatever, Arabic, whatever the case is. Imagine you come home or you're at work and you get a call from the hospital and you find out that your child has been, has been either seriously hurt or they are alive no more. And the reason for that was because they were either stabbed, shot, whatever, as a result of them pushing someone or them getting into an argument. And maybe there was and there was equal, or what's the word, a mutual combat between the two people. And your son, your daughter, your mother, your father, they're no longer there. They're no longer with you because someone can now, due to an interpretation of the outcome of this case, could then argue, hey, it was in self-defense. Hey, he put his hands on me. Hey, he pushed me. Oh, it was two of them, and they were both acting like they were going to whatever. The thought that we've got a life that's ended because of basically what we have, as people have stated, is It amounts to you had a life that was ended for no reason at all. And it's sad when you hear people get online and they say he deserved it. He had what he had coming to him. But those same people, I guarantee you, they will not say that Trayvon Martin had it coming to him. Those same people will not say that George Floyd had it coming to him. These are the same people that will say, that will be up in arms and be ready to go out, protest, and burn up the country because you had someone who they felt was wronged. And their life is now over because of senselessness. And in this situation, it's bad because we've got the possibility that if he gets off, then we have a possibility that now we're going to have an uptick in stabbings, an uptick in shootings, an uptick in all of these violent measures taken and then running and trying to say, oh, self-defense. Hey, he did this, self-defense. And now you've got a sense of precedents set by this case. But we know that if the situation was reversed, and if Austin was black and Karmelo was white, then we would not be having this, we would be having a completely different argument than the black people that say he had it coming, or the libtard Lucas wouldn't be saying, I forgot the stupid thing that he said, but he wouldn't be saying things like, win stupid, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He would be screaming, saying the racism, the injustice, you just had a black man that there's no reason why an argument, a push or shove should have resulted in the ending of a life. He, along with all of these people that sit here and say that he had it coming to him or that he deserved it, they would be screaming for the worst, for the biggest amount of justice that's possible for that person. The hypocrisy in this case, in this scenario, this situation is abhorrent. And it makes it heartbreaking to be involved with the kind of people that say these things. You should not be saying, and even if it was the other way around, I find it hard to see the maturity or the righteousness or the compassion to say that the other person, that he deserved it or that he had what was coming to him. Now, I find that there's a lot of things that, just don't make sense with the case. And we don't know all the exact details. But I feel like it's completely unethical and unrighteous to sit here and make statements of evidence and truth and fact when you yourself know good and well that you have gotten your information from an uncredible source. You have basically gotten everything that you know from rumors. I remember the first thing that I saw, a guy posted on Facebook that said that the that Carmelo had his phone, taken and broken, and that he tried to take his book bag, and that you had Austin and his brother that had jumped him, and all of these things were brought out up after a couple days of this basically becoming viral. And the first thing that I did when I saw this post on Facebook, I responded like, okay, this is good, but where's the evidence that any of this stuff is true? And the guy who posted it was running with it like this was, this was something that was factual and that it had been proven. But every example that we had heard from that point on was not anywhere close to what was on that post. Now, I understand that the government is crooked, the government is wicked. I get that, and I know that there's a lot of things that they do that what they lie. I get it. I know that there's agendas in everything that happens in this world, and they're not all for the benefit of us. Most of them are not for the benefit of us. But at the same time, you can't act when you don't have factual information. You can't develop an opinion when you don't have factual information. And right now, we don't have enough factual information to fully say this kid was acting in self-defense, true self-defense, or not. Now, I can argue that there is nothing that there's no, I can't see where it would have been reasonable that he would have feared for his life to have used deadly force. The circumstances just don't, they don't, call for it, because you're at a public track meet. And yeah, you might have somebody who was being aggressive towards you, but you think the other person was going to fatally harm you at a track meet where there's cameras and there's other people around? Like, that just doesn't make sense. And, we would wonder, okay, well, why why didn't he just fight? Why didn't he just, square up and fight like a man? And people will argue, okay, well, people will say that, well, Austin and his brother were jumping him, or that they were trying to be the aggressors together. Okay, I can see where that's intimidating, and you don't want any part of that, because the likelihood of you coming out victorious is low. But do you think that they were going to cause you serious injury or kill you at a track meet where there's tons of people around and you had a way out? Number one, you could have just left. Like, stand your ground does not mean that you can rightfully sit there and that you must sit there and allow for a threat to come to you. That means that if a threat is emanating, and it is, you are going to be involved in that threat, that you have the right to protect yourself. You are not obligated to flee. But in the use of deadly force, then there has to be a situation where there is no out. And for the fact that he's at a track meet where there's hundreds of other people, there's adults that are there, then he had an out because he didn't have to stay there. So I don't, and that it doesn't make sense. I know, there's a lot of people, and a lot of people do this when you have someone who's young, or who, well, yeah, if someone who's young, that's, that their life is taken. You always have people that will try to say that he was a great kid, and they try to say that, oh, he was going to, he was going to do something great with his life, that he had great, good grades, he was an athlete, he had a job. And that's what they said about Carmelo Anthony, that he had a 3 point whatever GPA, and that he was the captain of the football team, or he was, he was a good player, and that he had two jobs, and he had college offers, and you had all of these things. But he was this great kid. However, even within the news, we see that that's not really the case, because the interviews of his classmates show different, that he was an aggressive and violent kid. Because the one girl that was interviewed, she said that she knew him for fighting. She didn't think that he would ever go so far as to stab someone, but she knew that's what he was known for fighting. So if he was known for fighting, one, I don't know why he didn't just buck up and handle the situation with his fist. Why did he feel the need that he needed to just go with deadly force without knuckling up? That makes no sense. I had someone who posted a comment on Facebook, and I responded to that. And they just said that, that Austin and that the Metcalf brothers and Carmelo knew each other, and that he had been terrorizing him for a long time. And I said, well, one, that's not true. And that's not true. They never knew each other. And this is basically from the guy, I don't know his name, I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who is from the organization. I'm not going to say their name because I'm not giving them press, but he's from the organization that has been the spokesperson for the Anthony family. He stated himself that they didn't know each other before this. So where are you getting your information that says that they did know each other and that he had been terrorizing him? So if that's true, then the spokesperson is lying. And he is putting out false information, which is what he got online or went to the press to say that he didn't want to have. He did not want to have false information spread out into this case. So we have to say that him, who is a friend or a representative of the family, would know better. And I commented back and I told him, like, all right, so even if he did know them and he had been terrorized, then that makes Carmelo's situation worse. And it makes it worse is because then it points to that, hey, this was probably premeditated. Because if the Metcalf brothers were terrorizing you, why would you be under the tent that they would be at? If you were being terrorized by these people, you've got this whole stadium full of places that you could have been. But you decided to go to the tent where the terrorizers, the racist terrorizers that had been terrorizing you for however long, you decided to go and then sit with them. If I had someone that was bullying and terrorizing me, rain would not keep me under that tent. I would be willing to just sit out in the rain rather than be near them. And if I didn't want to be in the rain, there were other tents that you could have gone to. So to say that that they knew each other and that he was terrorizing him before, that substantiates the possibility or the fact that it was premeditated. Because if he knew that they were going to be there, then that means that he brought the weapon. And if he brought the weapon because of them, he also intended on using it. That's premeditation. So it just boggles my mind on why, there's so many things that have been spewed out in this case, and no one is sitting back and thinking that what are the ramifications of if he gets off, if he is not punished. If so, let me go back. So if there really is not a reasonable, claim for self-defense for lethal force, if there's no substantiation for that, then he has to be punished. I don't care if he is 17. I don't care if he's 7. I don't care if he is, could be the next president of the United States. I don't care if he could cure cancer. He has to go to prison and suffer the consequences, because if he does not, that opens the floodgates for people to then completely act a fool and think that they can use the same kind of deadly force for the most menial reasons whatsoever. I don't care that he's black. I don't care that he's white. I don't care what color he is. If he acted outside of the law, then he needs to be held accountable. He needs to be punished, because I have to think about my children and their future. And I want to think about your children and their future and your loved ones if they lose their life because of stupidity, because someone could not handle their anger. Because from what I see, like the use of deadly force, I just don't see it. I just don't see where he could have presented a life-threatening threat to him. I can understand if Karmelo pulled the knife out and brandished it and warned him, and it'd be like, "Come to, touch me, and we'll see what happens." That's it. That's even a different story. It still doesn't. It still does not justify lethal force, but it then leads to the fact that, okay, well, if this guy is still going to come after me after I have a deadly weapon in my hand, then that means that he might exhibit deadly force on me, because I have pulled out that knife and I've taken it to a deadly avenue. So yeah, if he pulled out the knife and he, postured as if, if you don't get away from me, I'm going to use it, then yes, I think that then you might have an argument that the self-defense was legitimate. But that didn't happen. From all the reports is that he just reached in his bag, pulled out, and just started jabbing. So I don't know. I mean, I am, I can't say that he's guilty. I can't say that that he is innocent because he was really defending himself in an appropriate way. I can't say that because I don't have all of the facts. I can only talk about what I have heard and then make judgments about what makes sense based off of what we've heard. I don't care about any other stuff, about his parents, with the GoFundMe or something, whatever the money that was raised. I care less about that. Him being, his bond lowered to post bail. I don't see that as honestly an issue. I mean, he's a kid. He's not going anywhere. Um, I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think that although it was a heinous issue, a heinous situation, I don't think it was that bad that he needs to that he would not be okay if he were out on bond. So that's not really a big issue. But once we start getting actual facts, if this does go to trial, which some people have talked about that they don't feel like, that it may even go that far because a lot of people are attacking the judge for being too lenient. So we'll see. And when that happens and there's actual information that is, you know, on record of what happened, then I'll be back for more content to get the truth out. Why? This is Logan Oren, the Troll for Truth, because the truth should mean something.
Trolls roll out.